Welcome to Beyond Measure. Today we're creating a card with the Tiffany Doodles Digi-Stamp Let Us Come. After downloading it from tiffanydoodles.com, I brought it into my Craft Studio Elite crafting software. To change the black sentiment to a colored sentiment, click on the Effects tab and go to the Color Boost. To enable me to get the correct sizing on my die cut, I am placing this in a landscape format to better enable me to bring it into Make the Cut software. Make sure to save your creation in a place where you can find it. Now go through the pixel trace of Make the Cut software. There you go, and import it. Make sure not to change its size. Now rotate and place within the boundaries of your ovals. My ovals are a bit small, so I need to enlarge them just a bit. So select all of the ovals and enlarge just a hair. Now that we're set to go on the size of our ovals, now I'm going to move them about so that I can save cardstock. And next, we'll need a card foundation. So let's go into the basic shapes, pulling in a rectangle. Now let's size and/or shape it so that it will be custom for our ovals. And the size in which you come up with on this particular rectangle will also need to be duplicated. You'll need 3 of them for your easel card. Copy and paste the ribbon slots onto this mat. We will be needing all of these, so just select the amount that will be needed for our card. Since I have a large sentiment that's going to go in the center, I'm taking out some of the center ones too so that I can use less ribbon. You'll need to select the rectangle and the ribbon slots to join. I used half the size of this rectangle, as the easel card was an afterthought. So I cut 3 on the amazing Click and Cut Zing out of the copper and 1 with the ribbon slots out of the cream cardstock from Oriental Trading. Next, print the sentiment onto the cream cardstock. Act quick and sprinkle some transparent embossing powder atop your sentiments. Dust off the excess and heat with your Ranger Heated tool. Choose the sentiment that you want to use and make sure to cut it out with ample room around it so that you can cut your fancy oval. Notice how I pre-cut the fancy oval so that I could have perfect placement in my zing. I'm tearing away where the excess cardstock is, making sure to adhere my sentiment to the mat with blue painter's tape. The zing does such an awesome job. Next, use the Sakura Quickie Glue Pen to adhere all of your ovals together. I wanted to punch holes around my oval, but I didn't have a punching tool. So the Lord gave me the idea to take it to the sewing machine and sew it without thread. Next, we're using our awesome zing to cut out a little fuzzy bear, some fall autumn leaves. To add a little bit of elegance to our autumn leaves, I'm using the Sizzix Texture Boutique with the Tim Holtz texture fade called Damask. And we cut these and are embossing a scrap of a green Coordinations cardstock. Sand over the chipboard and wipe away the dust from your sanding. Seriously, the zing is so very impressive and so quick. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear. Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair. This is the Fuzzy Bear freebie from Crazy Cat. I'm using some colored chalks to add a little bit of rouge to her cheeks and highlights to her fur. I'm not super experienced with using chalks, so I decided to go ahead and move on to Distress Inks to get a little bit more definition. Now I'm using Distress Ink by Tim Holtz. This is Walnut Stain. Even though it does a super job, I cannot maneuver it to give the detail in which my little bear needs. So I reached for the Prismacolor colored pencils, and I'm using brown to go around the edges and to add some detail in her fur. I'm using white for highlights in her fur, And now we'll get out our handy dandy odorless thinner and our paper stump to be able to blend the colors and make them look more professional. Making sure to clean your stump in between colors on your scrap piece of cardstock or paper. Now, this is the coloring I'm satisfied with. I'm using the Rubber Cafe's Stick 'em Up to be able to place the little bitty objects onto the glue in which I dispensed with the Sakura Quickie glue pen. And this is the Micro Sharpie in black. It enables me to give great detail to Fuzzy Wuzzy. Woohoo! Let's see how great this works with the Cuttlebug. Adhere your ovals to the fancy oval on the right side with your Scotch repositionable tape, placing it face down on your A plate. Then place your embossing mat, lots of cardstock, and your 2 B plates. I love the different colors of fall leaves. We'll accent one of these with peeled paint. We'll accent one with spiced marmalade. We'll accent another with walnut stain, and yet another with aged mahogany. This is the ribbon slotted base that I cut on the zing out of the cream cardstock. First, I'm inking with spiced marmalade distress ink, and then I am inking with rusty hinge. These 2 fall leaves and acorn rubber stamps are by Tim Holtz. They're from the Thankful collection. This is a super fun technique. All you do is have a little water mister, some of your gel sticks from Faber-Castell, which is also gelatos, color and stamp away. Next, this is the Provocraft Cuttlebug and the Sussex Tim Holtz Alterations Tattered Flowers die. What is the substance I am cutting? Well, that is tulle. It's a fine netting. I used the 2B plates with cardstock to run it through. And this is the Hug Snug Sing binding in natural. We are custom dyeing it with Distress Stains by Tim Holtz and Ranger. First, mist with water, then I used antique bronze, tarnished brass, and peeled paint distress stains. Create your own ribbon needle. Cut a small strip of transparency. Fold in half and contain the ribbon in between. And sew from the back to the front to the back to the front. I like to save as much ribbon as possible, so I did not do it all the way across. That's why I'm having to adhere in the middle there and here on the sides on the back of the mat. I'm using the Scotch ATG gun. It is a terrific way to adhere ribbon, and this is the tonic distressing tool. We'll go around all 4 edges. Now to trim a bit of my fancy oval. It's a bit bright, so I thought I would ink it a bit with the distress ink in old paper and also a bit of walnut stain with a very light hand. I tore off a strip of tulle, tied it in the middle, and now I'm going to wrap it around and create a bow along with my ribbon using the ultimate crafter's companion. I think we could use a little bit more shimmer, so why don't we sew around the edge with some metallic gold thread. I'm sewing it to the copper cardstock, in which the copper cardstock was cut about a 1/4 inch larger than this ribbon slotted mat. We will accent our flowers with distress stains in antiqued bronze and tarnished brass. Using the Rubber Cafe's sheer scrap happy glue, I am adhering Fuzzy Wuzzy to the center of the card. I took a little piece of tulle and adhered it underneath the little flower that's going to go on her head. Then, using some scrap happy sheer glue, I put some in the center of the flower and in all of the spots on the card that has green, and covered it with a few little green micro beads for a metallic shimmer. Next, we'll use our Zotz 3D glue dots, 4 of them to go on the back of our fancy oval sentiment. But first, I almost forgot, I wanted to add a little bit of shimmer to it. So I went around it with the Martha Stewart gold glitter pen. Next, adhere the paws of Miss Fuzzy Wuzzy and the leaves to our card with sheer Scrap Happy glue. Use a Zot's 3D glue dot that is stretched so that it won't show to adhere the bow to the card. To give the ribbon tails a windswept look, adhere with mini glue dots, making sure to dovetail the ends of the ribbon before adhering. This effect is so lovely. Now we get to use the gold Viva Decor pearl pin to add pearl shimmer, shine, and interest using the Stick 'em Up from Rubber Cafe and the Scrap Happy sheer glue. We adhered some rhinestones sporadically over the face of the card. Now we're cutting a piece of cardstock that matches the 2 pieces of copper that we have left at 1 inch, scoring straight down the middle and adhering both of the foundations together. Normally, easel cards are within the boundaries of a 12 by 12, but because this one is larger, we're having to do it this way. And to create the easel, we will score from the inner corner to the outer corner on the diagonal and fold. I'm using the Rubber Cafe Scrap Happy sheer glue to adhere the front of my card to the half in which I just scored, making sure only to adhere to the bottom half. My rhinestones were clear and a little bit bright for this card, so I colored them with yellow permanent markers. Now we're going to create our paper for our flowers, using the same coloring, stamping, and inking technique in which we did for the face of the card. We're using the lovely metallic gold gelatos and orange, brown, and dark green gel stick, using tonic flower punches to punch flower shapes. Now we're accenting our scrap coordinations that we cut our leaves out of. We're going to accent that with pine needles distress ink and punch with Martha Stewart oak leaf punch. Mist the flowers with water and or use metallic distress stains. Then emboss with an embossing stylus on a little embossing mat. Adhere leaves, flowers, tulle, all kinds of fun things right there on the corner of the very back of your card. The tulle was a bit long, so I had to trim the hedges, so to speak. See how beautifully it stands up on its own? I must add some more Viva Decor pearl pin for added interest and shimmer on our base. Now, this tattered angel's glimmer mist in suede. And this is our completed project. Let us come before his presence with thanksgiving and make a joyful noise unto him with songs. Thank you so very much. You are so very special. Be blessed beyond measure.